Plaintiff Michael Solomon claims his former business partner's lazy behavior killed their business. He's suing for $5,000 for breach of contract. Defendant John Hafner claims he's already paid the plaintiff more than his fair share of their business profits. He says he owes him nothing more.
Case 55 on the docket, Solomon versus Hafner.
Okay, thank you. And welcome, guys. The plaintiff, Mr. Solomon, you are suing the defendant, Mr. Hafner, in the amount of $5,000 for breach of contract.
Correct, Your Honor.
What is your case?
4 years ago, Your Honor, I made the mistake of entering into a partnership with John Hafner, and I've been trying to navigate his river of lies, deceit, and ever-changing stories ever since. In February 2014, I first met John Hafner. I was shooting a music video and hired him as a gaffer for my music video. And he did a great job. He's very good at what he does. At the time, he owned a camera called the Red Scarlet. It's an entry-level cinema camera. And he wanted to upgrade to a top-of-the-line model called the Red Dragon. It's very expensive, $22,000, and he was looking for someone to partner with. And given our professional and personal relationship up to that point, I figured, hey, why not? You know, we can make some money together. So in September, we signed a ownership agreement that was very detailed things like how rental payments would be broken down, who would store the camera, insurance requirements, everything was laid out. And we got the camera.
How did you split it in terms of when you were called on an assignment?
So it was a partnership on the camera itself. So we would go out, and if we got hired on a job, we would rent our camera on the job to try and get us more work. So if he rented it on a job, he would get 67% of it because he owned a lot of accessories. I just owned part of the camera.
Yeah.
So if it was his job, he would get 67%. I would get 33%. And then if it was my job, where I sourced the actual rental, we would split it 50-50.
So now what's the problem?
In December of 2015,
Yeah.
John took the camera to Thailand to shoot a festival.
Yes.
At which point, while he was there, both his camera and apparently other cameras were damaged by lasers at a light show. The sensor itself got hit with a laser, fried some pixels on the sensor, so you could see it in the image at that point. I didn't know any of this. For a 4-month period, I hadn't touched the camera. So in April, I took the job out for one of my biggest clients. And I mean, they were my biggest client. They accounted for almost all of my income. And I did a 2-week shoot for them. Everything I had shot for them had this issue present in the footage.
So what are you suing him for?
After insurance paid out and everything, he's still to this day has
insurance payment.
We did. They paid out $15,000. They paid $10,000 in damage.
Your Honor, that's incorrect. I have the actual payment.
Okay.
The actual payment was $13,000.
Yes.
Of which we split $2,500.
And what about the rest of it?
The remainder was allocated towards upgrading the camera or possibly fixing it, and that was an ongoing conversation.
What the lawsuit is about is you're suing him specifically for $5,000 for a breach of the contract. What is the breach you're talking about?
So after 2.5 years of this investment just being dead and him sitting on this money, I offered him a chance to buy me out.
Was there an agreement as to what the terms of a buyout would be?
So in the original ownership agreement, I basically was trying to be as generous as I possibly could to try and get it done. So I offered him $5,500 over 9 months. And in addition to that, I gave him the ability to have a late payment twice.
You, John, would buy Michael out for the sum of $5,500 to be paid over 9 months beginning October 1st of 2018. There would be 9 equal payments, $611.11. You're saying that you got one payment of $611.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which by itself is some admission that this was a buyout agreement that you were agreed to. But other than that, the other payments haven't been made. And so how far behind is he in payments?
As of now, it would be he's missed 6 payments.
Is there any other evidence that he agreed to this buyout?
He agreed via email, and then I also have text messages where I believe on the second
where he answers, looks good, bro, let's be friends again soon.
Right.
This part seems pretty clear-cut. He wants you to buy him out.
I didn't agree to these provisions. I agreed to be friends and try to pay him. We had a phone call shortly before this email where I said, I will try to pay you monthly.
We had no phone calls. I told you I wanted things in writing because I literally did not trust anything you would say over phone. And I had that in an email that I sent you as well.
So when we initially started doing business in the company, which I had been operating for several years, I had $72,000 in equity, and he came in with an $11,000 equity stake and got very advantaged terms. And in the first year, he made $15,000 in direct revenue, and everything was fine. So the first year, our business was doing great. Now, the second, third, and fourth and a half years, the business did bad. We lost money. The camera depreciated in value. He's asking me to take all those losses on my own and pay for all the business expenses year over year and not be a partner in that, but he wants to share in whatever money he thinks he's owed. He says $5,500, which I don't think is a fair amount because, one, the camera's not worth that much. It's broken.
Why would you say looks good, bro?
Well,
I mean, because
I didn't read it. I was busy on set. I thought I could pay him a little money and everything might be better soon. And when I had time to think about it and go through the quarterly by quarterly revenue statements and see that I already paid him $15,000 in profit in the first year.
it sounds like clearly he was carrying the heaviest burden of the company. So
some of the things he just stated are factually false, though. In terms of the personal insurance, I actually helped pay the premium, which in the ownership agreement, I'm not even responsible for. He's solely responsible for personal insurance.
He paid
and I
half the
contributed.
premium, I agree.
Okay.
And
for one of the 4 years. The next 3 years, I paid it all. And
after
I
the
paid
camera
for
was
everything
broken, I no longer contributed to an insurance
why did you
premium.
make the payment?
In good faith.
Why did you make the payment if he wasn't?
I kept paying him his share of the revenue because we were technically partners and we still are partners. So
But
I was
John,
trying to be nice.
you
and
got
give
an
him some money.
insurance payout to fix the camera. You're literally sitting
Why
on a
did you
pile
pay
of
the
$13,000.
$611 in the first place?
To try to get on good terms with him. And I thought I could maybe keep up those payments. But
Okay,
when
but
when I looked through all the money that he had made and looked how much money I was spending every year and he wasn't contributing, I realized he actually owed me $4,000 to $5,000.
But in fact, there were another 2 weeks before you decided to write him the check. In that 2 weeks, you had a chance to read this whole agreement. So I gotta say, legally, you agreed to this. And the evidence of it is not just saying, yeah, it looks good, but in fact, 2 weeks later, after having an opportunity to look at this more closely, you agreed to it. I also believe that you did the heavy lifting with the company, and I think that's one of the reasons he probably wants out, because it's more your company than it's his. But I'm willing to say this, because of this obvious not getting along, not everything is crystal clear, that for the remaining 8 months, with $611, the judgment is for the plaintiff in the sum of $4,888.
Thank you, Ron. I'm happy it's done. It's been a long time coming. It's been almost 3 years now, and I'm just happy it's resolved and we'll be behind it.
It's making revenue. He doesn't want to be a part of the business, which is fine.
Hey YouTube, check out my new show, Judge Jerry. Now for sneak preview and behind the scenes footage, subscribe to my channel now.